Hey guys, Japanese language instructor John Sensei here, and the JET program application is open in the United States. It's actually been open since September 28th of 2018, and today's record date is actually October 18th, 2018. So it's been open for a while, and I hope wherever you are and whatever you're doing that you're having success filling out that application and working on your essay. And what I've been doing is I've been holding myself to make a video every day to try to help applicants better understand JET. Why would I do that? Why would I talk about these type of things? Well, because I used to be a JET myself. Way back in 2003 to 2006, I was an assistant language teacher on the JET program, loved my job, and I was also lucky enough to be a JET program coordinator from 2012 to 2015. So I worked on the inside of the JET program a little bit. Now, one thing I'll never do in these videos is disclose confidential information about the selection process, but I do want to help as many people as I can, just as a dedicated JET alumni, help people with the application process and understand more about the program. I'm also a Japanese language teacher. I know I don't look like it, but I have a JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test, Level 1 certification, and also a master's degree in Japanese. And I teach here in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And if you'd like to schedule a lesson with me, all you have to do is go to my website, johnsensei.com, and find this schedule a lesson or consultation button. Now, while the JET program application is open, I'm also offering in-person and online via Skype consultations to help you with your application and with your essay. So just visit my website and use this online system if you're interested in booking a lesson or a consultation with me. Now, the topic of today's video is going to be something kind of dorky. Maybe I shouldn't say dorky. Kind of deep, kind of scientific. One of these things that when I was a JET coordinator and I would stare at the stars and ponder how we could better help applicants, this is something that's been on my mind for a while. So today's topic is going to be the Pareto Principle and the JET application. Now, what the heck do I mean by the Pareto Principle? What is this? Most of you probably have not heard of it. If you have, cool, because then we're going to talk about how it relates to the JET application. And if you've got questions, just post them in the comments, or if you have anything you want to hear me talk about in a later video, post those in the comments as well. So in the description of this video, I put a link to the Wikipedia article about the Pareto Principle, and you can read that on your own. But it's named after a man, Pareto, who was an Italian economist, and basically he discovered that 80% of the land in Italy, right here, 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the population. And that may not sound too incredible, and this was 1896, I think, but other people then went and found this ratio, and it's not just a ratio of 80% like X and 20% like Y, but this inverse relationship where 80% of the results are a product of only 20% of the inputs. And you can read here on Wikipedia all the different ways this is used. We use this in the auto industry. I've worked at a lot of Japanese companies in the auto industry where we would find out if we had all these quality defects. You've got scratches, you've got dents, you've got warped metal, that maybe 80% of your problems on the surface were only caused by about 20% of the root causes. The machine needed cleaned more often or something like that. So you fix the one root cause, and then by that you fix 80% of your problems. And I've seen this so many times. It's scary. It's like hacking the universe. You can hack your own productivity. Probably 80% of your productivity is a result of only 20% of your daily activities, if you think about what you do in a day. Or if you think about a lot of big companies, about 80% of their profit or 80% of their revenue comes from only 20% of their products. Think about a company like Apple. They make computers, they make earbuds. They make connector cables, but where's probably about 80% of Apple's money coming from right now? iPhones and iPads and these type of things. Now, I am not a member of the Church of Apple or anything like that. I know what you're thinking. This is some guy that sits in a coffee shop with his MacBook and ponders things like the Pareto Principle. Somewhat true, but I just need the gear. I need to do the work that I do. Now, the question is, how does this relate to the JET program application? You know, the Pareto Principle, it's cool and everything, but how does it relate to JET? And specifically, I'm going to relate it to how we talk about JET and how we talk about the JET program application specifically. Now, what I think is that we spend 80% of our time talking about technical details of the application. For example, the statement of purpose essay, the application period every year, what's a candidate's eligibility, how do you do placement references, what do you do about letters of recommendation, and just basic info on JET. Now, right now, when the application is open, of course, it's natural that this is pretty much what we talk about. It's going on right now. And if you have a question about any of this, I encourage you ask someone. You ask a JET alum, you ask a JET coordinator, and you get the information you need. So what I'm about to say is not a criticism of anyone who asks questions about this or talks about these topics. When I was a JET coordinator and I would go do JET info sessions right about now, of course it was natural we would talk about these type of things. It's also natural that we're going to talk about these at a workshop we've got planned here in Nashville at the Tennessee Language Center. It's Saturday, October 27th, 2018 at 1 p.m. I hope to see you guys there if you're in traveling distance of the Nashville area. We're going to dive deep into the application. We're going to do peer essay reviews and have a lot of great information for applicants. So at an event like that, of course, it's natural that this is what we're going to talk about. But again, I feel like year-round, every JET event I do, no matter what time of the year, no matter what audience, this is always 80% of what we talk about. And the thing is that what I have listed here on the screen, this stuff has not changed that much in about 30 years of the JET program. And in fact, at any time of the year, you can go to the JET Program USA website and you can find this section right here, Aspiring JETs, and you can go through all these different topics and get this exact information about the JET program at any time of the year. And it hasn't changed at all. So that's part of the reason why I'm shocked that we talk about it so much. Now, I understand I've been doing this a good bit of my career. Of course, it's like the back of the head type of stuff to me. And as new generations come up through college and they hear about JET for the first time, this is the information they're going to want to know about. But again, it's out there. This is the information age. This information is out there all the time, and it never, ever, well, rarely changes. Let me see where we're going to talk about next. But a few examples. For example, just recently, I went to a panel at my alma mater of Middle Tennessee State University, MTSU, and it was me and two other folks who had graduated from MTSU and were JET participants, and we were going to do this. Well, we did this great panel for the Japanese language roundtable where we said you can ask us anything about JET. There's no rules here. And we even made clear that the JET coordinator was going to come the next week and give an official info session about these technical items on the application. So even though we set up the panel like that, and we wanted to really inspire people with like, hey, our JET journey started in these very halls and went to Japan and came back. We did talk about a lot of that, but again, I think 80% of the questions and 80% of our time was spent talking about this technical information about the application, which is out there all year round and doesn't change. And another example, this one really threw me too. This is a photo from the Middle Tennessee anime convention known as MTAC this past year, March 30th or April 1st, 2018. And we did a panel with the voice actor guest at the convention, Yuri Lowenthal. Now, if you haven't heard of him, he's been in a lot of anime and video games. Most recently, the big one is the big Spider-Man game that everybody's talking about. He's Spider-Man. And it was such this awesome opportunity we set up with MTAC because Yuri used to be a Jet. He was actually a CIR. And we said, hey, I've got me in the middle there looking all pissed off and sweaty like an anime nerd should. I was moderating the panel, and I was like, okay, if anyone happens to have technical questions about the application, I'll be here to answer them. But you know, it was in March. The application was still 6 months away, and we let people know that. And then to the other side of me is Amanda, who was my Jet when I was a Jet coordinator, and she had just come back from Japan. So my thought with this panel was like, wow, we've got their big voice actor guest who was a Jet, and we're going to hear all sorts of great stories from him. And Amanda just came back from Japan. We're going to hear all sorts of cool stories from her, and I'll just moderate and fill in if we need technical info. But again, it was 80%. The basic technical info about the application. Now, if you guys were there, let me know. I think we had a great time at this panel. I mean, we even look like we're having a great time here. And honestly, this was an awesome panel. Again, these photos are from MTAC's Flickr account, and I think the photographer did a really great job of capturing those moments, capturing me moderating in that moment, and capturing everybody laughing and smiling. This really was an awesome panel. If I have a chance to do it with Yuri again at another convention, I definitely would. And thank you guys so much for coming out and asking your questions and participating in the discussion. And I'm not criticizing anyone at all. Again, I'm just shocked that 80% of what we talked about was this technical information for the application. But again, this is getting to the point of today's talk, is this is the Pareto Principle in practice, the 80-20 rule. And so what do I mean by that? Oh, real quick, shout out to MTAC. Love you guys. Best convention, best anime convention in the state of Tennessee. And there's a lot of great cons out there. But if you guys want to register for MTAC next year, it's April 19th through the 21st. All you got to do is visit mtac.net. That's the website you want to go to with all the information. Again, probably Tennessee's best anime convention. Hopefully see you guys there again next year. Now, about this technical application info that we've been talking about. Again, we spend 80% of our time talking about this technical information about the application. Does not change, has not changed that much in 30 years. The information is available year-round on all the JET program websites. But really, here's where this Pareto Principle comes into effect. I sincerely believe that all of this really only makes up about 20% of the surface details in what it takes to be a successful JET applicant. So here's that 80-20 inverse relationship. We spend 80% of our time talking about JET on only 20% of what it takes to be a successful JET applicant. Now again, right now, this time of year, all these topics are very important because the application is open, especially about that statement of purpose essay. But really, for all you applicants out there right now, you are who you are at this point, like I said in yesterday's video, and you've got to make sure you're representing yourself clearly in your essay and your application. But really, fundamentally, what it takes to be a successful JET applicant, we only spend about 20% of our time talking about making yourself a better person in regards to JET, making yourself a more competitive JET applicant and what that takes. And this is the fundamentals, just some examples of fundamentals, I think, of what it takes to make you a better person. Now, at that MTSU alumni panel the other day, Somebody asked me actually one of the most intelligent questions I've been asked in all my jet program career. And they asked, when you do these type of events, what are the questions attendees do not ask that you wish they did? And I actually did not have a good answer at the time, but I thought about it. I've got 2 answers now. This is one of them. I wish we spent more time talking about these fundamentals of what it takes to be a successful JET applicant. For example, training. Let me make clear, you do not have to have any sort of teaching English as a second language or TESOL training to be a JET. It is open to all majors. I was a recording major with a music minor, had no teaching experience or credentials whatsoever, loved the JET, just loved the job and excelled at it. But you are teaching English. That is your job as an ALT, as an assistant language teacher. So any sort of training you can get in that area would fundamentally make you a better candidate. Also, Japanese language ability. You are going to live and work in Japan. Again, Japanese language ability is not required. I do get this question sometimes. How much Japanese do you have to know? The true answer is absolutely none. I've had lots of great jets who had 0 Japanese ability, but they had personalities like Sunshine, and I knew they would be okay as jets. But if you do spend some time, money, and effort getting your Japanese language ability up, then yes, that does make you more competitive. That'll make your life in Japan easier. Also, experiences, work experiences, study abroad experiences, experiences interacting with people from other cultures. It's not about putting bullet points on your application. It's about making yourself fundamentally more adaptable to other cultures. I talked a lot in yesterday's video about volunteering, how that's great for building your skills and network. And I think I want to do an entire video on how important volunteering is. Again, not as a bullet point to put on your application, but as something that makes you fundamentally a better person and therefore a more competitive applicant. And I think we spend almost no time talking about attitude. What kind of attitude it takes to be a successful applicant, because a lot of applicants I've seen have had the wrong attitude. They've had the attitude of, how do I trick the JET program in my application to like me? How do I deceive them into accepting me? That's not a correct attitude to have. Or the attitude that the JET program is there to serve you, is there to give you a free trip to Japan. That's not what they're out to do. I think attitude is everything, and the successful JET applicant has WIT, W-I-T, the whatever it takes attitude. They'll go get their transcripts from community college. They'll go see the physician if they need the physician's form. Whatever it takes, they'll do it. And we also don't talk about general self-improvement, how to be more adaptable, how to be better at conversation or social skills, and just, again, make yourself a better person for the JET program application fundamentally. So what I would encourage you future applicants to do is to think about the items I have listed on the right side of the screen, because this is what will fundamentally make you a better JET candidate. Of course, you guys who are applying right now, I know what's on the left side of the screen in the gray, that's what you're thinking about. That's what your JET coordinator and other people are out to help you with. And again, we have this workshop that I want to remind you of. Tell your friends, even if you don't live in the Middle Tennessee area, tell your friends about this. Saturday, October 27th, 2018, 1 p.m., the Tennessee Language Center. I'll have the links. I'll put in the comment the link to the official Facebook page so that you guys can RSVP. If you've got questions, write them down and bring them to this workshop, because we do want to answer them, whether they're technical questions about the application or fundamental questions. We, the JET alumni presenting this, it's not just me, there's several of us. We want to make sure you get your questions answered. And if you have other questions that you want to hear me talk about, just post them in the comments or I am out there on Facebook and Twitter at Mr. John Sensei. You can keep in touch that way. Again, guys, keep it up with the application and your essays, and best of luck to you for the JET program. I'll see you in the next video.